Hi guys. So sometimes we're going to be finding like sine of an angle such as sine of 15 degrees, but sometimes you're given the ratio that the angle provides when you take the sine of it. So in this example, we have sine of A equals 4/5. Now we've done something like this before where we're given the ratio, and because of that, we can create a triangle. If we know sine is equal to 4/5, it also is telling us that it's between 0 and pi/2, which is telling us that it is in the first quadrant. And if the sine of the angle is 4/5, I know that 4 is the opposite side of the angle, and 5 is the hypotenuse because sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So I can use those two sides to find the third side. So sine is 4/5, so I can do 4 squared plus b squared equals 5 squared because 5 is the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse is always the c value in the Pythagorean theorem. So then I've got 16 plus b squared equals 25. So b squared equals 9, and therefore this is 3. So now I have a full triangle. I know all of the values. I can find sine, cosine, and tangent of that angle all day. What's important to notice is that I'm creating the angle between the hypotenuse and the x-axis. That's super, super important. The next one says cosine of b. I should label this A. The next one says cosine of b equals negative 12/13. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. It's also telling me that b is between pi/2 and pi, which is the second quadrant. So I can draw this. Here's my triangle. Here's my angle. We'll call it B. B is adjacent over hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always positive because the radius of a circle is a positive distance. So 13 is the negative, or 12, sorry, is the negative value because that's adjacent over hypotenuse. Now, obviously, I can find the third side in the exact same way I just found the last one. So I do negative 12 squared plus b squared equals 13 squared. And so 144 plus b squared equals 169. B squared equals 25. So b equals 5. Once you have that, you can use these values for all of these formulas. Now I have done a sine one and I've done a tangent one, I think. Nope, I think I've done cosine and tangent. So I'll do the first one, the sine one. One thing I want to point out, on the first page, the formulas are broken up by plus and minus. This is actually how you'll be given the formulas when you're given a formula sheet. And it's important to notice that they correspond with what's happening. So here it says cosine of A plus or minus B. The plus sign is on top. And when you see the formula, the minus sign is on top. So the plus sign goes with the minus sign. Get another color. So then the bottom one is a minus sign, and the bottom one over here is a minus sign. So the minus sign goes with the minus sign. So when I see sine of A minus B, I'm looking at the minus sign, which means I am going to use the minus sign in the formula. That's really important to recognize that they correspond with each other. Whatever's on top here, we use what's on top here. Likewise with what's on bottom. So find the exact value for sine of A minus sine of B. So I'm just going to write down the formula. Sine of A minus B equals minus. So I'm using sine of A cosine of B minus cosine of A sine of B. So now I'm going to go through with my A function, or with my A angle, and I'm going to find sine. Sine of A is 4/5. I'm just going to stick with this and do cosine of A while I'm at it. Cosine of A would be 3/5. Okay. Now I'm going to do my B angle. Here's B. Cosine of B is negative 12 over 13. And cosine or sine of B is 5 over 13. So 4 times 12 is 48. So I've got negative 48 over 5 times 13 is 65. And then I've got my minus sign in between, minus 15 over 65. They have a common denominator, so I can subtract these. Negative 48 minus 15 equals negative 63 over 65. And that's done. If I could simplify that, I would, but I don't think I can. So the exact value is negative 63 over 65. Not so bad. Some of the key points here is to recognize what quadrant you are in, to know that the hypotenuse is always going to be positive and it's the legs of the triangle that might be negative. And lastly, to really focus on the corresponding signs in the formulas. There's a lot of fraction work here, but just work through that, know how to multiply, divide, add, subtract fractions, and you should be okay. All right, good luck.